St. John Vianney tells us that if God had a more perfect way to communicate with us, he would have done it, but he already did in the gift of the Eucharist. It is here that we meet the essence of Jesus Christ himself. And in doing so, we touch the very core of who we are. God touches that core. When we receive the Eucharist, God enters us in a most intimate way that no human being has the ability to do, and touches us at a level of our being that no one else can. And as we do receive that sacred presence, he looks at us and he says, "You are my child. I love you. I am with you. You are mine." And we find our identity as his daughter, as his son, in the essence of the Eucharist. And now here's where it gets beautiful. We've all been at places in our life where we lose control, where there's something before us that we simply cannot overcome. Maybe it's darkness, maybe it's depression, maybe it's despair, maybe we're bumping up against our limitations of health, maybe we're facing the loss of a loved one, whatever it may be. Something that we can't fix and something that no other human being can fix. And we come here to this sacred and holy place, to this holy table. And God holds us. He holds us in his presence, in his arms. And so that very presence that we receive from the altar, we now can receive from one another in this community of faith. And the early Christians knew that. That's why they needed to come together in person to gather and celebrate and remember, become enriched, but also infused with God's presence so that they could go out and preach the gospel as the body of Christ, as you and I go out and preach as the body of Christ. So our faith is never a personal thing only. It's always about us, always about the community and our relationship with one another. Let's face it, life is complicated, we can get distracted. It's so easy to lose our focus from God. It's even easier to lose our focus from who we really are. That is why it is so necessary to come here, as all of you do regularly, to be enriched and nourished, refocused, rejuvenated, and set back on course so that as you leave here, whether you're conscious of it or not, you reaffirm God as God is, yourself as you are, and you reaffirm your direction and your purpose in life as a herald of the good news. And equipped with that, you go out into a world that doesn't understand that message very well. You know, I'm talking with younger families, both work, commitments on the weekend. The children have this to do, that to do. And life is very busy, but that busyness cannot become an excuse to get off of the hook from pondering how one keeps the Sabbath holy. You know, years ago, those of us who are older remember that we had the blue laws. And Sundays was nothing. Most businesses were closed. People did not work. And you stayed home. You didn't even shop. You did that on Saturday or sometime during the week. And so you were kind of forced into this sacredness of Sunday, whether you realize it or not. Today, we have to think about it. It has to become a conscious thought and a conscious decision. And those who say yes to God as a reality in their life and yes to themselves as a child of God have to also say, how do I keep Sunday holy? And wrestle with and answer that question, even if it's difficult to do so. Because it's so easy to allow other things to replace it. And once we do, then everything else gets out of whack. Everything else goes by the wayside. So once Sunday stops being sacred, we lose touch with the essence of who we are. We lose touch with the essence of who God is. And though we're saying yes to God and yes to the fact that I'm a child of God, those things are only coming from our lips and they have no claim on our heart because we're not being nourished. And it is so important. And so what is the shareable part of this message today? To go out and tell others this good news. Help them understand who God is. Help them understand who they are. Help them understand that they have a community of support here, a community of love, where they can be nourished and enriched and strengthened to be who they are and who God has made them to be.